I'd like to know if Dennis Garlick intends to ever catch up on his child care payments or make any of them.
That's irrelevant.
It's
Debt
really
agent.
relevant.
Let's give
Yes,
someone
I
else
do.
a chance to
Thank you.
Yes, I had a question. I work on the group there, Alt Religion Scientology, and I saw a post to the effect that the critics, this was by a woman who apparently described herself as the public relations or head for the Los Angeles organization, and said critics were likely to elicit another, to cause another Waco. I wonder if anyone up here could speak to that, whether that was possible. This was
Critics?
Yes.
Critics were going to cause another Waco?
Waco, yes. Is anyone familiar with
I'd
that?
like to speak to that.
Okay, yes, you can speak to that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to
With
that.
regard to the Hemet.
Specifically, what we're trying to do is diffuse that kind of a situation. Eventually, Scientology will have to be taken to task by law enforcement. And what we're trying to do is alert the public and let people know that there is a problem with it. And to deal with it in a dignified manner, we're not using anything but words. Nobody has used anything but words, and we don't intend to use anything but words. To diffuse the situation, because we see down the line that there will be, if it's not diffused, a situation where law enforcement will have to come in and do something about it.
Excuse me, if you have not used anything but words, how come you have a restraining order for a death threat that you made against Bob Lippman?
I never made any, I don't even know Bob Lippman, and I don't even...
Why do you have a restraining order for a
filed
death threat?
stacks of papers. You file stacks of papers all the time. That's your trademark.
He's the one making the death threats. I'm just surprised that you say it's only words. So death threats are okay.
Excuse me, I want to ask a question as somebody who's not as intimate to these matters as you are, as both sides seem to be. I'm confused. If this is a religion, what is the copyright violation? I'm just curious. Is this like the Bible, if it had been copyrighted by Christians? And is that, I mean, what are you copyrighting? Are you copyrighting religious teachings of Scientology?
There are some very, very small amount of religious teachings.
And
which
internal
are confidential
documents.
and copyrighted.
For what purpose are you protecting the...
Because part of the religious belief of the church is that at certain levels people are not ready for certain higher level spiritual. It's very similar to Buddhism, which has similar things. The Catholic Church has some similar things where only priests or only certain levels of religious ministration are allowed to see certain different.
They don't want people...
So I just want to make sure you have copyrighted to protect members of the church.
Exactly.
Not non-members of the church. They can read anything they want. I mean, arguably, since they can't be protected from something they don't believe in.
Right, but they can't copy. You can't pick up John Grissom's newest book and copy it yourself and put it out on the internet and sell copies of it on CD like Ron was done.
You can't sell it for $500,000.
Can I just point out something? I mean,
Jason in his deposition
there's a contradiction here. She's saying that the upper levels are confidential and copyrighted. That can't be. I mean, a copyright has to be a public record. I mean, you have to go and file a copyright claim, and that copyright claim is public record. So it can't be confidential if it's copyrighted.
Exactly.
So there's a contradiction there. And as for what they're protecting you from, they're protecting their members from finding out about this stuff.
So they don't leave.
So they don't leave, and they're protecting outside people from finding out because they won't ever get recruited if they knew what it was really involved in. I mean, that's the initial intent for the secrecy. But it can't be confidential and copyrighted. That's absolutely not possible.
And you're saying it's copyrighted because of what? Again?
It's part of the religious teachings that there are certain levels that are confidential until you reach that level.
They don't
Which
want
is
people
similar,
to know about
there are a lot of
exorcism.
religious doctrines which are very similar in Buddhism and
Zenu.
religions.
They say if you read it, you get pneumonia and die. Well, I've read them, and I'm not dead.
No, that's not true.
Yes,
He is dead?
It is true.
I read it when I was in.
Hubbard said it.
Hubbard said it. So it's true.
Did he say it, or
Exactly.
I'm curious, did he say it, or didn't he say it?
He didn't say what they're saying.
What did he say?
He said there is no Christ, and he said everybody is inhabited by...
That is a forged document.
It is
Even
not.
in Mormon's case.
Then why am I
hear
being
Hubbard's
sued for
words.
putting it on internet?
It's on St. Hill Special Briefing Course, tape number 112.
OT3 was a forged document when
Jeff.
the LA Times posted it. When the LA Times ran OT3 years ago, OT3 was a
The
forged
alleged
document.
Christ document is a
Hey,
forged
we're
document.
Why am I being
we're turning into a debate instead of question and answer, okay? Okay, so let's get back to the questions.
And the Waco thing, you're saying that critics are going to create?
No, this was Corey Brennan made a post
Uh-huh.
saying that critics are gonna cause another Waco, and I wanted to see
Okay.
if anyone knew about the security arrangements at this compound
Okay,
that
gotcha.
we're talking
Hemet.
about.
Oh, in Hemet, you're talking about Hemet?
Well, that was what the post apparently.
Okay, well, as far as us critics, we've done everything we can to prove that we're trying to be peaceful. We don't want any confrontation. We just wanted to protest what the church uses harassment and intimidation against people. And that's, I think we've succeeded in that. It was a peaceful day today. And the last time, September 9th, there was 15 cities worldwide that it was reasonably peaceful. I think Paul and Ron Newman were the only people that were attacked in any physical way that day. So that's our goal always, is to be peaceful and calm about it. Question from Tim.
I read in the paper, I think it was yesterday, reporting to you that you had received Dennis harassment relative to your employment and you were currently or sometime unemployed due to harassment. Can you talk about that?
Well, when they raided me, I was in a kind of a bad state for a couple of weeks after that. I was in the process of negotiating a new business arrangement and getting into digital imaging and making a transition from, the company I was with was dealing with wet processors, photo processors, and I was in the process of negotiating a new business arrangement where we were going to go into digital imaging. And the people who were going to invest in it, certainly they backed out immediately when they knew that I was under this kind of attack from Scientology, because they knew the Scientology would continue to harass me until I was a broken person. So
you'd say it's more reactive than proactive?
well, I don't have any proof that they actually went to customers and asked them to stop doing business with me, but I believe that is the case.
Well, I do,
Is that right?
but to answer her question, if you're not employed and making income, simple question, how do you pay child support?
Well, the judge assigned me an income, and I have made every child support payment since they dug my ex-wife out, gave her my bank account number, which they stole during the raid, and she seized my bank account. So I've made every payment that's required. And not that that makes any difference to the issue of Scientology, but they want to bring up these kinds of things to dead agent me, to make it seem like I'm somebody other than who I am. Yes?
I have another question. Did L. Ron Hubbard say this about enemies? And if he did, what did he mean? Who are enemies, and what is the meaning of that?
Yes, he did. That is a direct quote. It's part of the fair game policy.
And I'd like the people from Scientology, I mean, these are some things at least I can identify. Do this?
This is a document which they full well know was written and canceled one day later in 1968. It's never been applied because
Why don't you
it's
explain that, Dennis?
You can't, this is a quote from called the Fair Game Policy,
which is
and then there was a
canceled
cancel.
in
Excuse me.
1968.
Oh, I can answer it.
Well, you can tell
Yeah,
what we do.
I'd like to, excuse me, I'd like to hear their, and it was canceled in what sense was it, how do you cancel it? I mean, why was it written and then why was it canceled?
It was written in the church, there is what's called a chaplain's court. So the Scientologists, instead of going to court, if somebody owes you money, or your child support payments are late, or whatever there is, that's a court type of thing, they can go to the chaplain's court and resolve within the church, instead of going to the next level.
So,
Court.
did L. Ron Hubbard
And
write
Hubbard wrote a document which was completely misunderstood, in which he said that people who leave the church then cannot take advantage of the church's chaplain's courts.
The document she's
No, I
talking
mean,
about.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it says very clearly what it says.
Well, that's their quotes taken completely out of context.
Okay, and I promise you, I will read the entire context of this. But I don't want to talk about what he meant. I want to talk about, did he say that enemies may be deprived of property or injured by any means, may be tricked, sued, or lied to, or destroyed? Did he say that?
Possibly ruined utterly.
Notice how she has to see you later.
No,
You can't do it in front of
I'm just asking a simple question.
It's not something, I've been in the church since 1975. This was canceled seven years
But he did say.
The only
It's a-
time I've
the-
ever seen
The
this
quotation here
is
from the Hubbard
and
Communications
the
Office
church
policy
saying
letter
this.
of 18
So I've never
October
heard.
1967. The policy letter is called Penalties for Lower Conditions. The entire penalties for lower condition of enemy is may be deprived of, SP order, fair game, may be deprived of property or injured by any means by any Scientologist without any discipline of the Scientologist. May
I
be
don't
tricked,
know.
sued or lied to or destroyed. Now, as she says, 1 year and 3 days later, on October 21st, 1968, Hubbard put out a policy letter that was called Cancellation of Fair Game. The entire text of this policy letter is,
The policy of fair game.
I can summarize it.
I'll tell you, our attorney who's more familiar with it, I'm not familiar with it, I've only been in the church 21 years. I've never seen any of this except for.
The practice of
in this
declaring
kind of
people fair game,
situation.
Here it is, here it is.
It isn't
practice of
something that's-
declaring
that's
people
raised
fair
by the
game is
Scientology.
canceled. Fair game may not appear on any ethics order. It causes bad public relations. This policy letter does not cancel any policy on the treatment or handling of an SP, a suppressive person or an enemy. So in name, it cannot be called fair game, but the treatment and handling of an enemy is exactly the same as it was before the cancellation letter.
Cancel it
I've never
because it's
seen
bad
that.
PR.
In my 21 years
It
in the
is-
church, I've never seen that except.
And look it up, it is in the
out of quotes.
1967 yearbook.
It's in
I
red
have the
and,
original at home.
I take it this
I've
isn't
never seen it.
copyrighted.
I've never seen it.
This would not be copyrighted. This
It
would
is
not be
copyrighted.
copyrighted.
I don't
That
know,
would be
I
a
don't
fair
know.
use
I don't know.
quotation.
I've
That
never,
is one of
21
the,
years in the church,
that is
I've
one of the
never seen that.
documents that they sued me about.
No,
Right.
it wasn't, they
Yes,
sued,
it
we
was.
sued you about.
That's one of the documents I posted, and that's one of the counts of my supposedly illegally posting their
So if
material.
they're
The
claiming
point is-
copyright on it, it has to
the
be a
point
legitimate
is-
document.
It's a.
Well, that would be my-
I don't know.
that'd be my
I don't know
question.
if they're saying that, I don't know. I've been in the church 21 years, I've never seen that.
But I could check with the Copyright Office and find out if this exact phrase was submitted to be
Look
copyrighted.
at it. You can read it, you can read it and then have her interpret it.
she's
for
seen
you.
it, she provided a photocopy to me in Washington DC when I processed it in September
This document,
of the,
I've never seen
of the
this
cancellation document,
I've never seen this
of the
document.
cancellation
With
document.
this being an internal thing, could you speak about people who are not ex-members who've been harassed? Have there been any cases like that?
Well, not an ex-member, and I had Eugene Ingram come to my home, I've had private investigators outside of my home, spying on me.
And could you
The guy, some Scientologists on the net like to say derogatory things about us critics. I've been called a pimp. And what was the other thing? I forgot.
And the rogue agent,
Anyway.
what was the case? Was he an ex-member? Do you know?
Rogue Agent is not an ex-member, and his account was attacked. They successfully went to school, his university account provider, and got his account closed. And then they were doing other things I don't recall exactly about Rogue, but it silenced him anyway. The point of the harassment is to silence critics, and that has been pretty successful in some cases on the net.
Yeah, that's what I want, that's what I want to ask about.
Successful
So I want to
here
ask
today.
about people who are not ex-members, like Henry, wasn't there a
Yeah.
guy named Henry?
Yeah, there's quite a few examples. If you get on our news group, you can read about.
But, okay, but I think the point needs to be made that you don't have to be an ex-member, that the
True.
general public, anyone who's offended by this sort of
Right.
thing,
Well,
can
Well,
be.
the idea is,
Yeah, okay, that would be,
being
yeah,
a public critic gets you harassed in the team.
okay.
Is there questions from the press? Any other questions from the
Yeah, I have one last question. And that is that it's clear why you guys are here, and that's been clear all day. I'm curious as to why the Scientology people, and by my count at one point 12 or 13 Scientologists, sort of in a versus mode. What was your role out here today? Why are you in this room today?
I'm a member of the press, I write stories, I'm interested in what's going on. I'm concerned as a Scientologist. When people are saying, making up stuff and using something that's been canceled for 30 years, if that's even a legitimate thing in the first place, which I don't know.
I have a question for you.
And saying, can I
If you don't
finish,
get-
can I
If you
finish
don't get
the
to
answer,
see
please?
stuff, if you don't
So,
get to see stuff,
my
and it's a
concern-
graded system, how do you know that
Can you
that
let her
isn't
finish? Let her finish what she's saying.
So, my concern is in defending my religion.
And so
It's
the
my
12 people
religion.
outside.
I've had wins with it.
So wait a
I've
minute.
done well with it. It's done well.
I appreciate that. The gentlemen in suits, sort of the flanks of Scientology people, they're all there to support each other in this effort. I mean, I was just
And I think
so I was
to
just
ensure that
confused
it's-
by that many people, rather than one spokesman come forward and.
Are you
Well, I think
serious?
it's also just to ensure that everything was fine, and everything was fine. and make sure that there weren't any,
You're saying
you
you
know,
can't...
there have been threats. Dennis Ehrlich has a restraining order. There have been threats. There have been death threats. There have been bomb threats against the church.
Are they security
On the
personnel?
internet. Pardon?
Were they security personnel?
Some of them, yes.
Okay, so they were there to
So
protect the physical structure of the buildings.
And Scientologists, should anything happen.
Which gentlemen by name, could you tell me, were security personnel there to protect you from the person you had a restraining order against?
Pardon?
You're saying some of them
No,
were security
I'm-
personnel.
no,
Which
I'm
people
saying-
by name, could you tell me that?
I'm saying not just from the person.
Oh,
with
well,
the
I don't care for any
restraining
reason, but
order.
which people were security personnel?
I don't know. I would have to think back. I'm not sure.
So how about name one person that was there today that was there in a security role?
She's not allowed to tell you that.
That's copyrighted.
You just said something, you're here not as a press person, you came in with the press credentials, but you're actually here
No, she said she was a press
I
defend your
said I'm a
church.
press.
But you're actually here to
And
defend your church, you're
and
not really here as a
I'm-
press person.
I'm here in Clearwater to defend my church.
Okay, so you came in kind of on false credentials in a way.
No, I have National Press Club credentials.
Yeah,
came in
but
on
your
false
purpose,
credentials.
your purpose for
Credentials.
being here though is to defend your church, not as a press person, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I'm here for both. That's exactly what I
Maybe
said.
he tricked. Maybe he tricked.
Okay, well,
I'm here for both. Reporting on it.
Was the answer you weren't going to identify who was, I'm sorry to go back to my, but I just want an answer. You weren't going to identify which people were there as security for the church?
I think everyone who was there, if anything happened, would also do security.
She'll
Well,
give-
earlier you said to me that there were people there specifically to provide security for the physical. I mean, I want to know if this group is a threat to your organization. You suggested that they are. I want to know which gentlemen out there would be classified inside of the church as security personnel so that I could speak to them about what kind of threat this organization poses to them.
I will find out. I'll let you know outside. I don't know the names of all the
She
people.
has to ask permission to see if she can get their names.
Ken Moxon was there to ensure that the legal things were done. I don't know the names of the people. Obviously, the people with walkie-talkies who look like security were security. I don't know their names.
Well, I just saw gentlemen in suits. My other question would be, is there a list somewhere I could find of a hierarchy of how these people figure into the overall Scientology organization here in Clearwater?
Copyrighted too.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be copyrighted?
No. Yes, there are plenty of documents. There's a corporate booklet.
So we have a lot of sound, we taped a lot of sound of these gentlemen speaking today. I'd be able to find somewhere a list so I could identify that this person you're seeing speak right now is an executive vice president of
Yes.
the...
Yes, we have a green booklet, 40th anniversary. It's got all the names and who's what. We also have a press kit with all the bios.
Can I answer one question? There was Kurt Weiland, who's the head of the Office of Special Affairs. There was Brian Anderson, who's here with OSET Flag.
Mike
she said-
Rinder was there.
Mike Rinder.
Mike Rinder was there.
Kendrick Moxon.
Kendrick Boston, as she mentioned.
And which one of those were security? My guess would be they'd be the ones armed.
No.
Were they armed
No.
security?
No, there's no harm.
So this wasn't a physical threat today because they weren't armed to protect?
You can have physical threat without being armed. You can tackle somebody in football without having a gun.
And my final question on this would be, are your security people authorized to speak to the press on behalf of the church and what their views are, or would that be something handled by a different part of the church organization?
Yes, the press are spoken to by the public relations office.
Okay, because I only saw people today talking to the press, so maybe I missed something, but I'll look at the tapes. Thanks.
if there's no other questions from the press,
Does anybody in the press have any more questions?
then we'll just conclude and say thank you very much for being here today. And if you want to talk to us afterward, that's fine.
Well, he's saying that,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.